Hi, I'm Andy Johnson, captain of Western Tri-Cast Team Wales, and here we are today at Weston Pools, Oswestry, sponsors of the Welsh National Angling Squad.
Hi, I'm John Harvey, fish for Tri-Cast Weston Team Wales. I'm 32 years old, from Risca in South Wales, and all the boys call me Big John. I'll let you guess why. I always wanted to fish for my country. Got given the opportunity by Andy Johnson 3 years ago in European Championships in Belgium. Over the moon to get a chance to fish for my country. It's always been my dream. The highlight of my international angling career at the moment is coming second on the first day of the World Champs 2 years ago in Slovenia, and winning the first day of the European Championships in Belgium last year, which we won team gold in as well. I'm also the Welsh National Reigning Champion, which I won off this peg.
Hi, my name's Nigel Evans. I'm 48 years old from Porthcawl, South Wales. I started in the Welsh team in 1997, World Championships in Croatia, and I've fished numerous events since. World Champs in Valence, Italy, Spain, European Champs all over Europe. I first represented Wales when I was 12 years old, fishing a friendly when a member of the Welsh team failed to show up. So I borrowed some tackle and ended up fishing because I was the only person available to fish in the match, and ended up coming in third place. I've had lots of good moments with the team, and we've gone to lots of very interesting venues and fished very different techniques to what we use in Britain. And the highlight has got to be winning the European Champs last year in Holland, and hopefully we haven't finished there, and hopefully we win the World Champs in Belgium this year.
Andy, I want to start by asking you, obviously you've got a very stressful job, quite a high-flying job by a lot of people's standards, wing commander in the RAF. How does that tie up with managing a team like Wales?
Well, to sound a bit corny, leadership's important in both roles, and leading the Welsh team, a disparate bunch of men from different backgrounds, different sort of expectations, does require some leadership. So I think the skills I've learned being in the Air Force, again without sounding corny, leading men, spill over into this, plus the organisation and management ability, which hopefully I bring to the party.
Absolutely. In terms of your own angling, you've fished for Wales yourself a number of times. Just talk us through how it all started for you.
Well, for me, I was lucky, and I've generally been lucky. I met the previous manager at a big fishing show in the NEC, and I just went up to him and said, how do you get into the Welsh team? Do you do trials? You know, what's the process? And we had a little bit of a chat, nothing more than that. But being a sort of guy who doesn't take no for an answer, I sent him a letter, and I said, these are my results over the last 3 or 4 years, which happened to be probably the best 3 or 4 years I've had.
Yeah.
And then out of the blue, he invited me to fish against Scotland. Typically, this was with 4 weeks' notice. I was going on holiday and I couldn't make it, so I was completely gutted. So I thought, that's my opportunity being and gone. Then about a month later again, he had somebody in the team who was taking to the European Championships whose wife was having a difficult pregnancy. So a decision was made 3 or 4 weeks before the European Champs in Hungary that guy was going to have to drop out. So Eric took a punt on me. I got a phone call and he said, look, I just want to sound you out. Could you come to a competition for me in the next 3 or 4 weeks? I said, yeah. I said, give me a clue. And he was a bit reluctant. He said, well, look, I'm not promising anything, but it's the European Championships in Hungary. Anyway, long story short, I went. I didn't fish day 1, and nor would you expect to, but I fished day 2, and I actually did quite well. So that was the beginning. I then fished for the team for 10 years, fished 5 World Championships before I took over as manager.
What made you make that move between player, for want of a better phrase, and manager?
Well, the management job became available. I'd already done my coaching badges, so I was preparing myself should the day come. But it came a bit earlier than I thought, probably 4 or 5 years earlier. Everybody expected I would take on the job because I was qualified, as well as probably having the right experience, having fished with the team, and being able to organise a few things. And I'd spent about 3 years as the deputy manager, because I was beginning to sort of do a lot of the organisation. So I thought about it. It wasn't something I initially jumped at, but in the end I realised there wasn't anybody else out there to do the job, so duty called and I took on the job.
Excellent. Just talk us through briefly your career as manager then, leading up to the Euros last year.
So I took over in 2013. We went to the World Championships in Poland. As the previous manager left, so did the sponsorship with Shimano. So one of my first challenges was to try and find sponsorship, because this is an expensive game, and without cash sponsorship it becomes really expensive. So fortunately I made contact with this fishery at Weston and with Steve Hopkinson at Tri-Cast, and I put it to them that we would be worth taking a punt on. I couldn't promise any medals, but I promised we'd be professional and we would be a credit to both organisations. Darren Frost also had a big input because he was a regular at this fishery and had a good relationship with Mike Philbin. So between us all, we got the sponsors on board. So we went off to our first competition in Poland, World Champs. We came 9th, which a top 10 finish for a country like Wales, while it doesn't sound spectacular, it's not that easy to do, so it wasn't a bad first effort. I'd spent some time putting together a squad, and I started with a clean slate, so I actually, in the first few years, trialled or used 23 different anglers.
Right. So
I ran a trial, first thing I did, at Port Talbot Dock. It was a bit of a shame that not many people came to it. I put a team into a Larford, their bank holiday thing at the end of the year. Put a team in there. I put a team in the Central Challenge final. In the first year I put a team in, we came second with some young lads, so that was good and promising. So I used a raft of different anglers, some who had been in the Welsh team for a while, some had been in the Welsh team but not for the last 3 or 4 years of the previous manager's reign. So I tried and I gave opportunity to a lot of people. But ultimately, after 5 years of doing that, I've now ended up with a squad of about 9 or 10 anglers who are either committed enough to do it, can afford to do it, or are good enough to do it.
And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't realise. I mean, you look at a country the size of England, for example, just by sheer number of heads, they've got to have a lot more sort of anglers to choose from. What you've got in Wales is perhaps a bit more limited, both in terms of the fishing and also the anglers. Is that a challenge, or?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. I mean, England, not only have they got more anglers to choose from because they're a bigger country, they have got an exceptional talent pathway. Their organisation behind the scenes is tremendous. Unfortunately, we don't have that in Wales, and that's not a criticism of anybody. You know, the Welsh Federation of Course Anglers do a great job with what we've got. So we don't have that talent pathway. So for me, I'm forever asking youngsters who think one day they'd like to fish for their country to get off the commercials and go and actually fish some rivers. But so few of them seem willing to do that. But I mean, I've told them, and I'll say it again now, you will not get into the Welsh senior team if you can't fish rivers, if you don't fish sliders, if you don't know about Blood and Majorca and Leams and groundbait. There's so much more to it. I compare it to, you know, if you fish a commercial, let's call that a 100-metre sprinter. Going away to the World Championships of the Welsh team is like going to a marathon. They're so different, the skills are so different.
Yes, yeah, no, I get that totally. I'm going to finish in a minute by asking you about last year's European Championship result, which was tremendous. But before that, what would you say the future is looking like from what you can see? I mean, I know you've blooded some young anglers already in your reign. How do you think the future looks for Wales?
If I'm honest, for the future to be brighter, we need a youth development scheme. We've not had a junior Welsh team for a number of years now, but even that's not the answer. The answer is getting juniors and young men fishing rivers, going to Evesham, fishing on the Wye, fishing the Riverfest qualifiers, and having the confidence to go and do those things. But the reality is the apprenticeships are for 99% of the anglers on commercials. And some of them are absolutely awesome at fishing commercials, but unfortunately the skills are not transferable. And you can't come to World Championships and expect myself or the other senior team members to coach you and teach you how to fish that week. It just doesn't work like that. So the future for the next 5 to 10 years isn't too bad, but beyond that, if youngsters don't make the positive decision that their future lies in a mixture of angling types, then unfortunately it does look a bit bleak.
Well, you've talked about the challenges there, and obviously, as you say, for a young angler looking at coming through, it is a big commitment because there's big money qualifiers and everything else to go at now that offer big rewards. But speaking of big rewards, I mean, how did it feel last year? Tri-Cast Weston Pools Team Wales crowned European champions.
It was beyond awesome. I thought the last miracle was about 2,000 years ago, and the miracle happened, and Team Wales were winners on that podium. It was absolutely awesome. And what really made it was when we got home, the number of people, whether they were English, Scottish, Irish, from wherever, as well as Welsh, were so enthused, and we got so many pats on the back, congratulations everywhere. My next match after that was a Riverfest qualifier on the Soar. And before they did the draw, there was a huge round of applause. I was there, Lee Edwards was there. You know, it was just awesome. But to have done the business 2 days running is the real challenge, because we've had one-day results before, but to come first on day one and come second on day two and be crowned the champions in that company, because the European champs is as hard to win as a world champs, was out of this world. And yeah, all the effort, and some of these lads have been in the Welsh team over 20 years, so all that time and effort, I've been involved for 15 years, to climax in that one moment was fantastic.
Hi, I'm Ben Roberts. I'm 40 years of age. I'm from Connors Quay. I've been fishing for Wales since I was a kid, really. I made my debut for the junior national side when I was 14 in Luxembourg. Fished up until I was 17 as a junior, because it was all under 18s back then. And then joined the senior national side in 2003. So that's about 13, 14 years now I've been in the senior Welsh team. For some unknown reason, I don't know why, but Nigel Evans and some of the lads call me Daft Ben. Not very happy about it myself, even though Certainly Nigel Evans is a bit daft himself, but there you go. I started fishing for whales when I was 14. First made my debut in Luxembourg, World Championships, and then we fished in France the year after, and then in Holland, only about 10-15 miles away from where we won the gold medal last year. But we managed to win a bronze medal as a junior, and then as a senior fisherman for Wales, obviously my best achievement is winning the gold medal last year in Holland as part of the Welsh national team. Individually, I've had some top 20 finishes in the World Championships, and also in the Celtic Cup in 2009 I won that individually as well.
Right, my name's Darren Frost. I'm 48 years old, a ceramic tiler from Wrexham, North Wales, and I've been fishing for whales now for, well, 20 years thereabouts. And the lads have got a few nicknames for me, and most of which I can't repeat, but they call me Frosty. Obviously my name's Darren Frost, and the South Walian boys call me Northern Monkey. I've got no reason why, you'll have to ask them. Started off fishing for whales, as I say, around about 20 years ago, when the then manager took over the team, Eric Humphreys. First World Championships was in Hungary. Prior to that I'd fished, I think, 3 home internationals in Scotland and Ireland, and done reasonably well at that, so I got my place in Hungary. Since then I've been a regular member for, as I say, the last 20 years or thereabouts. Highlights. Well, the highlight has got to be last year in the European Championships, where the team won gold in Holland. Fantastic experience. We felt it was a long time coming, though we've had chances over the years. That was our first medal since I began, in, as I say, 20 years ago. So yeah, that's definitely the highlight, and nothing surpassed that.
Okay. Well, we got involved with the Welsh team probably 3-4 years ago now. When Mike Philbin here, the owner at Weston Pools, being the fishery that we sponsor, asked me if we would be interested. And I sat down and talked to them. And basically I was very interested because they have the same kind of principles as we do at Tri-Cast, in which is when we do something, we want to do it right. And their ideas within the Welsh team were very forthgoing, and they had the right attitude to what they wanted to do. They knew where they were going, they knew the direction that they wanted to take, and they had some very good ideas. And I thought, looking at their past experiences, they'd come so close and been unlucky that I thought it was only a matter of time before this team got together and did really well. So we were more than happy to sponsor the Welsh team. Well, that weekend when the European Championships was on last year, I was actually here at a function at Weston Pools for that weekend. I'd been fishing matches during the day, and we were having an evening do on the night on the Saturday. And when the news came through that they were leading after day one, well, the party just exploded, as you can imagine. And we had a very good evening that evening. Unfortunately, the next day I had to travel home, but it wasn't long after I got home when Richie Parry here rang me, and you could hear the noise in the background. Absolutely fantastic when it had been announced that they'd done that well again on the second day, that they'd won the European Championships. A phenomenal weekend, and one I will personally never forget.
Hi, I'm Ian Leach. I'm 47 years of age. I fish for Tri-Cast Weston Team Wales. The lads are brilliant with me. They all know me as Wiggy, which is not really a long story, but basically when I was younger I used to have my hair cut really short and everyone used to say I needed a wig, so they just called me this Wig. And then my cousin moved in a pig van, and I absolutely loved the smell of this pig van, and they said Wiggy in the piggy van, and that's how Wiggy ended up, and that was when I was about 8 or 9. So now you know the secret behind my name is Wiggy, which is hence why the Wiggy mix in European, that we come up with a bit of a you know, a plan for catching each bream. So now you know the secret behind the name Wiggy. I've been fishing for whales now for about 20 years on and off. I got involved as a junior through a fella called Eric. He gave me a chance. At first I was very nervous at that sort of type of fishing, but now I absolutely love it. And whenever I get asked to fish for whales, I always like go 110%. I go out and practice different methods, different baits, different ground baits, and that's where I'm really comfortable in that type of fishing, is that different mixes and finding out different tactics, different lines. When I get called up by Andy Johnson, the new manager, obviously I absolutely love it, and I always give it 110% whenever I'm fishing for whales. Highlight at the moment was last year in Holland when we won Team Gold. It was absolutely fantastic achievement. I went out for a pre-practice myself and I worked out a few things and worked out that the bream didn't want to come over ground bait. First day of practice for me on my own was obviously when I put in a 50-50 mix of ground bait, and then I put a shorter lean mix shorter, and I caught more bream over my lean mix. The next day I reversed it and put lean and soil long and ground bait short, and I caught more bream long. So that told me straight away they didn't really want to come over ground bait. And I kept that under my hat until we all went out there and started practicing, and then we started to come up with a plan. And for the plan to fit in together all on the Friday, when we all had, like, I think it was 36 bream between us, it was absolutely fantastic. And then the first day of the match, when we actually won it, we just thought, wow. Normally in the past, Wales has always fallen down a little bit on the second day, but it just got better the second day. We had to tweak it a little bit, but when we come back and we actually finished second and overall we won it, that was absolutely fantastic achievement. That's got to be the best that I've ever had with the Welsh team. I really fully enjoyed it. Everything made sense.
Hi, I'm Lee Edwards. I'm 41. I'm from Caerphilly. I've been fishing for whales since 2006, and some people call me Smiler. So last year I went off to Ostellato with Dorking for the World Clubs, and we won that, and that was just a magnificent feeling to beat Italy in Italy. And then 2 weeks later we were off to Europeans in Largevaart in Holland, and the venue was a struggle, to be honest. There was a serious lack of fish there compared to 6 years earlier, and it was small fish short, little perch, roach, little skimmers, and then there was 2 kilo bream then, long. Negative feeding, but the difference was, well, I can't say there's a difference, they behaved very similar to the bream in Italy 2 weeks earlier, whereas they were off the bottom, about 3 foot off the bottom, and you had to basically drive them down onto your feed. So that was just a case of loose feeding, casters, or little bowls of soil with a couple of jokers in there, and that was just to leave a trail so they would go down, come up and go down. That's all it was. There was nothing intricate about it. It's just once you understood how they wanted it, and you just went that way. The first day we won it on the day, I think. I'm sure we did, yeah. And I think I won my section. I was Lions 3rd overall on weight. And then come the next day, there was 2 pegs left in the hat in my section. The one which Matt Godfrey did well on peg 5, I remember, or the one which is smack bang in the middle, where it was pretty poor. And that's the one I ended up on, and I think it was all, I had about 20 odd zander or something like that in the first sort of 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Then I've caught like a 4-pound hybrid, and that's come 4th in my section. You know, it was all a case of really, he wanted the team to do well after all the things that had gone wrong over the years. That was a priority. I mean, I know I was out of it by drawing that peg anyway, but I think I ended up sort of 6th or 7th individual, something like that. But I just wanted the team to have a medal, like, you know, after all these years. Like, I didn't really care what colour it was. And then sort of Johnny Arthur come down, and he come in to take some photographs of as I was weighing my section in, and you know, he said we won it, like, and it was, well, it was just an incredible 2 weeks, really. Emotional as well, really, you know, because you go through so much, you know, so much money and everything to go with it. And I remember being it was the area where we were having the ceremony, having a bit of beer with Cameron Hughes and Paul Downs, like, you know what I mean, and there was a bit of a tear in my eye and all that, but it's what it means to you, you know. So, but we got the support of everyone, you know, and the World Champs is coming up now in Belgium, and we're going to go out there and put a bit of effort in and give it a bit of a look at. I hope to see what happens this year. It's roach, skimmers and some big breams, so, but it's a big featureless canal, and they tend to be where they want to be, so we'll just see what happens, eh?